Pleasure of moderating this panel on what we can do to make marketing successful. So if I can invite up my fellow panelists, we have Kelley from Melrose, Eve from Yumi, and Zayi from Chainlink. Hi, everyone.
Hey, hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. So if we can go around and just give the audience just a short intro, who you are, what you do, and which ETHDenver is this for you? How many?
So I'm Kelley Weaver. I'm the CEO of Melrose PR. We're one of the original crypto communications agencies. We've been in this space working for 10 years, a decade this year. We started in 2016, so I'm really proud of that. And last year, we launched our sister brand, Bitwire.com, which is a modern newswire where you can distribute your press releases directly to the publications that actually matter. And this is actually only my second ETHDenver, so happy to be here.
Welcome, Eve.
Hi, I'm Eve Davies, co-founder of Yumi. We're a strategy and design studio that turns really complex, meaty tech into accessible, magnetic brands. And just an explanatory comma, when we say brand, we're really talking about who you are from the inside out, not just your logo or a slogan of the week, but something that's really deeply meaningful and about you. So your values, your mission, vision, values, your positioning, everything that you think, say, and do, the way you look and feel. And so this is my second ETHDenver. We've been working in crypto since about 2018.
Awesome. See?
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Zayi, or Zayi. I'm head of partner marketing at Chainlink Labs. I oversee our blockchain partnerships as well as our startup founder partnerships as well. So have a lot of insight I'd love to share for the founders in the room. Been in this space my entire career since like 2017. So I've been at many in ETHDenver. I don't even know, probably 8+ at this point. But I'm happy to see the evolution, and it's awesome just to see everyone here, and we stay strong. But yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So obviously this is an audience of founders here, some of whom have marketers on their team. Can I just have a show of hands? Who has someone who does the marketing function on their team? Okay, who is doing founder-led marketing? Lots of you. Cool. So I think what would be really helpful for this audience, Eve, do you want to give us a little bit, I know you touched on it in your intro, but do you want to talk a little bit about sort of the differences between different kinds of marketers and what people should look for when building a marketing team?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to come at this from a brand standpoint. So from a brand standpoint, when we think about building a marketing team, we're really looking at what is that native base layer, the strategic framework that you use to make decisions about who you are and how you show up with consistency and with confidence. And so in the very beginning, you are, as a founder, really responsible for doing the first, like the inner work before you even hire a marketer or before you even hire somebody on brand, to really start to understand, okay, what do we believe? What is our mission? What is our vision? What are our values? What are the values that are going to be helping guide our product decisions along the way? And if you don't do that work, and if you offload it to somebody else, you're not really going to go anywhere. If you take that on as yours, as like thinking about brand needs to occupy a room in your brain as a founder, then you'll be able to really be more impactful and persuade everybody. It's a skill that every founder needs to have. But when it comes to marketing, there are lots of different kinds of marketers. You can have marketers that are more brand marketers that are more product marketers who are really great at building community and genuine community of builders and developers. And then you have more like growth marketers, and so PR folks. And so it really depends on what your goals are and what life stage you're in when it comes to figuring out who you're going to hire.
And then Z, I know you help a lot of companies who are building on Chainlink to get access to resources and that kind of thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you approach marketing within the portfolio and sort of wider Chainlink ecosystem?
Yeah, definitely. We have a program called Chainlink Builds in which we help teams grow from early stage all the way to well-funded stages. And we've pushed through 80 plus teams through this program, and it's been really incredible to see their growth. On my end, I run a team that helps them learn how to market and how to grow within our ecosystem. And so it's an interesting thing. It kind of depends on their stage and their life cycle, whether they're early stage, they're trying to get funding, or they're already funded and now they might have one or two in-house marketers. Now they're looking to see how do we build out like our ad side or paid or social. So it's really interesting, and I think you have to just approach it from the stage that you're at, your resources that you have available to you, and what is important to you. It also depends on the vertical that you're focused on. If it's maybe more social side or consumer side, you might need a marketer that's more knows how to run a TikTok account, versus if you're doing something more on the infra or DeFi side, you might need a technical product marketer. So it really just depends on what you're building. But yeah, happy to chat after if anybody wants to talk through their strategies.
Awesome. And Kelley, I know you've been in the space a really long time, well-respected PR firm. How do you, obviously in kind of like a high churn environment, how do you really encourage teams to take a long view on things like PR and media relations?
Well, it's interesting. I think a lot of founding teams come to us and they want to just get in a little injection of PR and really turn it on like a water faucet, then turn it off. Maybe you want to make a splash around an announcement. And it's really something that is a long game, meaning that you have to consistently communicate what you're doing. And I think, really leaning into founder-led marketing really works. And so a lot of our job is not just around your major announcements. It's really about working with the amazing spokespeople on your team and matching them with reporters, aligning them with opportunities, and helping build that flywheel of awareness, through earned media with these founders.
Awesome. And this next question is for anyone can take this one. What do you see as the biggest marketing mistake that founders are making, that they're still making in the year of our Lord, 2026? Obviously marketing has evolved. Marketing to Web3, marketing to consumers has evolved in the last 10 years or so. How are you really seeing, what kind of mistakes have you seen founders make, and how can this audience really avoid making those?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in. We often see founders have a very narrow focus. They're very focused on their own individual projects, which makes sense. Of course, that's where your passion is. But to survive in this space, you also have to evolve and grow with the space. So you need to be aware of what trends are happening. How can you tie into new narratives? Even if it's not specifically related to your product, you still need to find ways to speak to the consumers out there and be able to relate to them. And so that's something that I've noticed founders sometimes can get too narrow in their scope, and so we often are helping them with elevating their profiles, inviting them to speak on different Twitter spaces, having them speak on panels, because it's really important for your community to see that you have diversity and that you're able to speak to different topics and different verticals.
Yeah, definitely.
I would add to that in order to go out into these spaces and have confidence, it really is helpful if you've understood and invested in your brand. Because that is like the cheat code. It's the framework that allows you to know confidently who you are. And so you know how to respond in an array of this dynamic environment. You're not rocking up and kind of confused. And so once you have that framework there and that structure, you're really able to go and meet the moment in a different way. And so I would say one of the biggest mistakes is thinking about brand as something that you do that's decorative at the end versus something that you do at the beginning that's infra.
Yeah, totally.
And +1 for just really refining your elevator pitch. It's so foundational. I was at a founders summit for the past couple of days, and there was such an array of when you asked the simple question, what do you do? The answers were sometimes people lost me by the third or fourth sentence. And really, I think that the work with brand is so important, being able to answer that eloquently, nailing your elevator pitch. People are going to ask follow-up questions if they understand what you're telling them that you do. And so it really is so foundational and basic, but being able to speak with confidence and, really boil it down to something that's understandable so then people can ask follow-up questions is so foundational to the entire process.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they say the more you speak, the less you say. Like the longer you argue your point, the weaker your argument. And so finding a way to like simplistically say things that really resonate with a specific audience. We tell our founders that if you take all of the words in your pitch deck and you have $10 and you have to split up all of those, it's like this amount of money per word. How expensive are your words? And the more value you can attribute to like one specific thing, So it's interesting. So you were bringing up Twitter. Obviously, X is a massive place of growth. It's like a great platform for building an audience. Crypto Twitter is its own beast, its own animal. But they have X has come out and sort of decided that they're going to wage war against crypto Twitter. They don't really want crypto Twitter to exist. So, can you talk about how that sort of strategy evolves in an environment that might not necessarily be friendly to emerging crypto projects?
Yeah, definitely. We have a really strong focus on staying technical with our marketing, just as Chainlink as a brand, and we advise the startups that we work with to do the same. It's really important to stick to your product and try to be as technical and focused on that as you can be. Once you start to become more of like a hype brand and you're just pushing out that type of content, that's the type of energy you're going to attract. And that's also, maybe going to get flagged by Twitter, or sometimes this happens on other platforms as well, TikTok and wherever else you might be posting. So it's really, I just advise that you focus on sharing your story, stick to the product, and don't just try to rage bait, essentially. Just try to stay focused with what you're saying.
Anyone else have anything to add to that? No?
I think it's important to communicate on different channels too. We're at the mercy of these algorithms changing, the way that search is changing so quickly with LLMs. And so being able to clearly communicate, on a variety of platforms is helpful. And then also your own owned channels like newsletters and maybe a Substack. There's different ways that you can engage with audiences outside of just Twitter. And LinkedIn has become like a star as of late, so it's such an untapped, and they seem to really, it's working well for crypto founders. So lean into other platforms, but don't put all your eggs in one basket, because things could change quickly, and that algorithm could change tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, LinkedIn, the dark horse winner of this.
I love LinkedIn.
Well, it's like people are hiring LinkedIn influencers and stuff now. It's a whole work stream. So I think if you have maybe more of an institutional focus, that's a really great area to be focused on.
Well, and it really speaks to the growth and maturation of the space as well, right? If we are being run, if we're going to act like adults, then we need to be in an environment where adults are and
like
are talking.
LinkedIn?
And are talking. Apparently, the adults are on LinkedIn. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, I know, Kelley, you touched on it a little bit. I think tactically for this audience could really use some tactical tips. Many people use incentives of multiple different kinds to be able to grow their audiences. Can you talk a little bit about different incentives that you could use? We may be exiting airdrop season. Are airdrops marketing? Are they bribery? What do we think about incentives? And that can be for
I feel
anyone.
like Z might be better to answer that.
Talk to us about giving free money to your audience.
Yeah, incentives are key within any industry. This happens in Web 2, it happens in traditional markets, right? Starbucks rewards. This happens in other areas. It's just labeled differently. So I think within Web3, you definitely do see it more from an airdrop, or you're getting some sort of incentive mechanism. But it's crucial. How are you going to connect with your audience if you can't show them that there's some way that they can be directly connected to you? Community is everything in Web3. And so I'm constantly pushing founders to find ways that they can have their community engage with their platforms, actually put tokens into whatever it is that their platforms might be pushing. It's just important that you are connecting, you're giving them incentives, and you're exciting people so that they keep coming back.
Yeah. Eve, can you talk to us a little bit about brand building? I know you touched on it a little bit about founder-led marketing versus corporate marketing. I know if you are here and you have a small company, it's probably you and your brand, and you have to kind of oscillate between building one and building the other. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the comparison between those?
Love that. So from a brand standpoint, we work with a lot of startups and founders who, in the beginning, it is on them, and that's great because you need to be doing that inner work first before you bring others in. Usually about, what we like to say is about 6 to 9 months, and yes, 6 to 9 months is how long it takes to do it well and do it right, is before a major launch, whether it's a mainnet or a big TGE event or some kind of commercialization inflection point. You need to bring in a more kind of seasoned team to help you really invest in your brand in a big way. At that point, you need three things. You need the team, and you need the time, and you need the money. And so usually there needs to be someone on your team already who can be that counterpoint along with the founding team. So it always starts with the founding team. And I believe that, hands down, you cannot offload this entirely. Of course, you have someone who's running it, but you need to be involved. You need to have someone who's a seasoned marketer and who's ready to shepherd that process on your end and kind of be receiving that for the project side. And you need a crack team like the one who did Aztec over there. That was us. To really bring it and kind of do the work. And so it takes 6 to 9 months because when you're building a brand, it has to be true to who you are and true to your tech and your product, right? Because we don't want it to just be hype. It needs to be compelling to your various target audiences, whether they're institutional or retail investors. To build real community, you really need to know what motivates people. And it needs to be unique in a crazy, noisy marketplace. And that takes time. That doesn't happen in like 2 workshops over a weekend on a retreat, right? That actually takes time. And so you have those 6 to 9 months. You have a 6-figure budget. You're investing healthfully. Usually this is like post-Series A. And you invest that time. And that might sound like a lot. But I will tell you that when you do that, your brand becomes an asset, right? It's about 30% lift on your marketing efficiency once you have a strong brand, and that's recognizable and people know who you are. This is super trad, but for the S&P 500, about 30% of equity is in brand. So that is still relevant here in this area, I would say. And so doing all of that work will really pay in dividends, but it does take time, it does take the right team, and it does take, a financial investment, but it's one that repays back out the gate. What else? There should be a Venn diagram between who you are as an individual and the brand that you've developed that's your project. It's not one and the same, right? There's you, one circle, and then on the other side is your brand and your company. There is going to be overlap, but you'll drive yourself crazy if it's just one-to-one. You need to know who you are as an individual and why you're here building this brand. And there needs to be this separation of church and state, and kind of when you play in what field.
And I think you get into a little bit of the hit by a bus concept. Like if you build your entire brand around one human being, and then that human being gets sick or isn't around or is on the road all the time, right? We're all a part of this, and I'm sure as many of you are as well. We're all on this traveling circus most of the time. And if you're absent for a week, your brand isn't falling asleep during that time.
Exactly. Brand takes what is implicit as a founder and makes it explicit so that everyone else can march to the beat of that drum, and it becomes something that can be shareable. It's no longer in the ether. It's actually something that's tangible.
Yeah. Kelley, so you advise lots of startups on, how to spend money on things like PR, how to spend money on marketing. Can you talk a little bit about where do you see companies spending money? If a founder here has, $5,000 to spend on something, where do you see that really packing the most punch?
In terms of PR?
Yeah, sure.
I think that there's even things that you can do before you even deploy any dollars, and it's foundational to who you are. We've talked a little bit about this, meaning, figure out your statement of who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. But beyond that, I think, if you have a teeny tiny budget, really there's a lot that you can be doing to build out your messaging strategy and your thought leadership before you even engage PR. So, when we engage with teams, and we pitch our clients to reporters, they're going to be looking at what are you sharing, what are you talking about online, and so there's a lot that you can be doing to be sharing your own perspectives before you engage PR, and really picking a couple, maybe 2 to 3 swim lanes that you want to be known for in terms of topics that you can speak to. And then reporters, when they have questions about whether it's whatever topic, they'll know to come to you, or they'll know that you've been speaking about that for a while. So there's a lot that you can do to kind of build this online footprint before you even engage. If you only have a limited budget for press release distribution, there's tools. We built one, obviously. But I think that, thinking about what you can do yourself, like relate your founder brand. I agree with you in terms of the brand should encompass multiple people on your team, but your personal brand is like your unfair advantage. You as a founder have, carries, like humans want to follow humans, right? And the algorithms do favor personal updates. And so building out what you're known for and really getting clear on, what that's going to be, and then showing up authentically online, I think is something that you can definitely do before you engage, a PR team.
Yeah, totally. Z, I know you talked a little bit about sort of founders investing in their brand. I know you work with companies at multiple different stages. At what stage have you found, I'm sure there's founders here who are like, well, I don't need to do that yet. I'm not big enough yet. I'm not there yet. I haven't hired my first marketer yet. At what stage do you find companies investing in brand and in marketing? It could be post product market fit, token launch, et cetera. Like, at what point do they need to really invest in?
We honestly see them bringing marketers in pretty early, because most founders are focused on building out their products and don't really have the resources or the time to be setting up a website, setting up a Twitter account, LinkedIn, all of these different brands. So we have seen that they come in quite early. I usually say it's best to bring in a generalist type of marketer to start, just somebody that is a bit scrappy, kind of can get down in the weeds, can start building everything out for you, and is willing to test things for you. And then once you start to scale, once you've raised a bit, then you could start to specialize. And again, dependent on your vertical or your product, that might be having somebody who's like a meme person, right? Like they're out on Twitter, they're creating lore, or it might be a product marketer because you're really focused on B2B sales. So I just think that to begin, you should do it pretty early on, because even something as light touch as your deck, I remember somebody was mentioning their deck. Yeah, we review a lot of decks as well, and I only look at decks for, a couple minutes max. So if your deck doesn't hook me, I'm already out. And so you might need a marketer just to even help you with the design and the elements there, right? So it's something as light touch as maybe you just bring them in as a contractor to help you get started, and then later on you can actually have them join your team. But yeah, it's really important from the beginning. Like, it's just something you need.
Awesome. Just conscious of time here. So in the last couple of minutes that we have, can you each give us your sort of best hot take on marketing for 2026? What is the theme that you're seeing people come out with? What is or a really novel thing that hasn't been in previous cycles that is a bigger deal now? So give us our predictions.
Well, I think just to reiterate, your founder brand is your unfair advantage. Start sharing your thoughts now. It's better to start now than later. Hiring a great generalist marketer to help you is great. And just be authentic and show up authentically as you. You're going to attract opportunities. People are going to invite you on their podcasts. You're going to be a magnet for opportunities. Build your network, and those foundational simple things are really so important.
Awesome. Eve or Z? Or Z, doesn't matter.
Okay. We'll go in order. Think like a brander. That's what I would say. Think like a brander. You need to have that strategy in your head as a framework, and that will really drive success and help you stand out and attract people in a way that is just works tenfold. What I think we're going to see is a lot more substance this year. I think it's tough. I think so.
Hope so.
Yeah, on my end, I'm really focused on retail marketing when it comes to what I think is really trending right now, and also a lot of content creation. In the past, we've seen more written type of content on X and X articles, and a more behind-the-scenes kind of approach within Web3. But within the past year, I've noticed a lot more actual video creators, people showing their face, hiring people to even run these types of channel verticals for them, because we're at this point where we're trying to reach consumers, and so we have to be relatable, we have to be real people. So I'd say even if you don't have the resources to maybe build out an entire video strategy or a TikTok brand, you yourself could be making videos. You could like be out there showing your face, talking about your product. It's free to make content, and that's really where the space is going. We're seeing a lot of UGC, we're seeing a lot of different types of channel strategies. So I would say get out there, show your face, don't be afraid, and just that's the best way to connect with your audience.
Awesome. What a great wrap up. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for listening, audience. Thank you, panel.
Thank you, everyone.
And we'll see you next time.